Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Hey, Elena.
Hey, Mervin. Hey, Elena.
Hey, everyone.
We're gonna give it a few minutes just to let people trickle in. But welcome in, everybody.
Good to see familiar faces after so long.
Oh, I love it. Hi, Nina. Hey, Patricia.
Mhm. Jennifer, Jenny, Sherry, Wade is coming in. Julia's jumping in right here at the well. Where is everybody writing in from? Mhm. Hey, Lauren. Welcome back.
This is great. Lake Tahoe, England, Ann Arbor, West Germany.
That's
How
Germany.
fun. It's great.
Yeah, welcome back to all of our regular mindful poetry cohort, but also welcome in to anybody who hasn't been before and this is your first workshop. Um, this is our first gathering of the fall and winter season of fall 24, winter 25, leading up to National Poetry Month 2025. We just had our 5th anniversary celebration here at the Well. Released our 5th compilation and had a book launch this past August. So this is kind of like our reset. We're starting anew and we have an exciting session coming up ahead. My name is Patrick and I'm joined by, I guess, left to right, Julia is right here, Charlie and Bryce. And unfortunately, our executive director, Stacy, is unable to attend. She's doing some work in some schools in Cleveland, but she sends her well wishes. And I don't know, after seeing the signups we had today, we still have a fantastic group with us today. So yeah, I'll say a couple quick bullet points up top just to settle in. If you're unfamiliar with mindful poetry, it's a core program of the Well. We are a mindfulness and art nonprofit based in Cincinnati, and Mindful Poetry Moments brings in a wide group of collaborators, poets, artists, community leaders like Troy, mindfulness practitioners, and more to provide folks a mindful approach to poetry. We recently announced our latest mindful poetry curator for 2025, who will be former Cincinnati Poet Laureate Manuel Iris, which we're very excited to have him. For the past 5 years, we've been hosting these workshops where the concept is really simple. We start out with some kind of mindfulness practice, some kind of meditation for a few minutes, and then we read, listen to, and get inspired by a poem and a prompt, which our poetry facilitator, Brians Ragusa, will share. In the middle of the session, we'll write for 10 minutes, and then to close out, we'll share with everybody else. This is the format for this session and for future virtual gatherings, which we're hosting this fall and winter. And additionally, we know that not everybody can attend these meetings, so this will be recorded, this Zoom meeting. And so if you wish to be edited out of the video, or you do want to share, but you don't want your poetry to be posted on YouTube, you can just let me know via the chat here on Zoom or via email. So yeah, I think without further ado, we'll just jump into things. I'm going to introduce our mindfulness facilitator today, Troy Bronsink. Troy is a contemplated leadership coach and consultant, creating trauma-informed conditions for collective change. Troy's a writer, original collaborator on Mindful Poetry Moments, and founder of The Hive. And you can learn more or reach out to Troy here or at his website, troybronsink.com. So I'll hand the torch off to you, Troy, to kick things off.
Wade, that's great. Hey y'all. I'm on my back porch here in Northside in Cincinnati, and across the yard from me, they're setting up the farmers market. But usually it's a little quiet for at least these next 5 minutes. I'm here to help us set the tone, and am excited about what we'll explore together. I want to invite you first to we're just going to kind of check in with our bodies. So notice notice your the way your spine is stacked right now, and feel into the spine. Maybe notice your hand and feel your hand for a moment. And notice your ankles. Maybe stretch them out, move them around a little bit. Notice, how are they right now? Are they tight? And last, just notice your breath. The body rise and fall with your breath right now. Not the idea of your breath, but the felt sense of your breath. And kind of check in if your camera's on with yourself here in the screen, and give yourself a nod, recognizing why it's important to be here. So I want you to think, we're going to lean a little bit into the sensation, and I want to invite you to think about the last time you missed a stair. Not the idea of missing the stair, but what did that feel like? The jolt in the body, the jump scare. I had a similar experience about a month ago. Went with my son and some friends to Kings Island, an amusement park near here, and they talked me into getting on the Diamondback. And it was the first time I'd been in a roller coaster for probably 20 years. And as I'm going up the roller coaster, you might have that sensation. You go up, the tick, 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 and then the bottom drops out. And there was a moment, and I had forgotten how this even worked because it had been decades, of, am I going to scream because I'm angry? Like, what is this doing to me? Am I going to scream because I'm laughing? What is my response to what the body's doing right now? And I want you to widen that now to other encounters you've had recently. Maybe it was blushing with someone. And when you blushed, that internal, what am I feel caught. I can notice this is happening. Maybe somebody opened their tears to you. And where did that take you? Where did you go? Where did you go? And I want you to stay with the physical part of this. The Zen masters, it's told that as folks would sit zazen in the temple, and folks would begin to either drift off to sleep, or they could kind of see in their eyes, the way I can see some of y'all meditating and see in your faces. Maybe the Zen master would recognize they're kind of in a place of bliss. They're bypassing this moment. How do I get them into the present? And then just prepare yourself here for a second. Then he would go whack, like loud. And the Zen stick would grab their attention, and they go, what do I do about this startled moment? How do I get back into this place of practicing presence while the startle is arising? And today's poem is about our relationship to that jolt, to that startle. I, a few years ago, was leading a meditation group in a building where we had volunteers next door cleaning up some construction debris with a shop vac. And I didn't know she was going to be there. We were all in a circle, and we were going around in kind of a still space, going, thinking, feeling, sensing, thinking, feeling, sensing. What are my senses doing? And then all of a sudden, the shop vac comes in loud, and I'm trying to facilitate the group. And it occurred to me, would it be all right with everybody in the circle if I went and asked them to turn the shop vac off? And folks said yes. And this is that realm that's often described as engaged contemplation or engaged Buddhism, skillful response. How am I aware of what's arising in the moment? And how do I not break faith with my awakened heart? And at the same time, how do I not commit a violence against the part of myself that needs to be loved the most? That activated response. What is my relationship to that crack? And so for just maybe 30 seconds here before we invite Holly to take this even closer as we read into Kearney's poem, think about that moment where your body had this choice. How am I relating to the bottom dropping out, to the crack? And how do I come a little closer? So stay with it. How do I welcome the possibility of the new now that the jolt has taken place? And then as we close this reflective part, take a moment and bring your screen back on and notice the other beautifuls that are here with you. The inner lives that we show one another and we can't show one another. Feeling into one another, noticing y'all feel into me. So it's my privilege to introduce Holly Brians Ragusa. She is an interdisciplinary writer and poet and speaker and an activist here in Cincinnati, author of a number of books and poetry collections. She's president of the Ohio Poetry Association. She's tied in with nonprofits and different literary endeavors, kind of a thread, as I've experienced her, inside of the big piece of social fabric here in the literary community of Cincinnati. And so I will pass it on to Holly.
Thank you, Troy. Does everybody hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everyone. I just mostly wanted to see you all nod and acknowledge. I want to acknowledge you, and I appreciate you all acknowledging me with your time today. It's an absolute pleasure to share this space always, but especially today as facilitator. Thank you each for being here. And thank you, Troy, for setting that incredible tone. I'm gratefully paired with you today in your spiritual meditation and bringing us into that awakening of the jolt and what it calls us to respond to. And I want to, of course, thank the well. Thank you, everyone. Stacy and Bryce and Patrick and Charlie. Who else do I have there? Thank you, everyone at the well, not only for continuing to hold this space for us. It's such an important part of my month, but also for allowing us to dig deeper into poetry and self. So for all your opportunities, thank you. Now, before I bring Kearney's Poet as Setting to you all, I just wanted to set a stage for that poet's work. And if you don't already know Douglas Kearney's work, I hope you each continue to dig in to that poet's depth and style. I certainly have dug further in, and it's lasting. It has staying power. So I encourage you to look in. A little bio work around the poet. Douglas Kearney is a Foundation for Contemporary Arts Cy Twombly Award awardee and Cave Cam Fellow. He has published 8 books and teaches creative writing. At the University of Minnesota, he's a librettist and visionary poet. And in his revolutionary style of performative typography and resounding deliveries, and having been heavily influenced by hip hop and a family who weighed the value of words heavily, his foundations and explorations allow him, I believe, to more closely bridge the page and stage, and self and society. And so I selected this piece specifically, which was published in 2006, for its relevance today. Not only because his works call to us to buck convention, but because they also ask us to buck our own. I like the challenge of that discomfort and sink in willingly. We all find our place there with discomfort. But I selected this poem at this time in an electrified election season that is cracking us down the middle because I have more work to do. To honor this poem, I must honor the poet and the realities he asks us to face personally, politically, and systemically. And I believe this poem in particular possesses the layers that ask each of us to dig in deeper, to peel back our layers, to turn inward on the dark landscapes of ourselves as poets, artists, and people, and jolt ourselves into action. The title itself sets us, the poet, as a stage. So, Patrick, if you'll please put the poem up for everyone. I'd like to read The Poet as Setting by Douglas Kearney. The jolt that comes to bones inside a tumbled streetcar is what the painter considers as she strokes herself into story. There is less to the jolt that comes as he shuts his eyes before the monitor, save what he imagines a lightning bolt, a god tapping the shoulder. He imagines the sky swelling with ceiling fans, or the guano of extinct birds, a jolt riding from his shoulder blades to his eyelids, dropping with roller coaster clacks to his fingers. Here, he dreams of Frida Kahlo. Here, he says, let me spread my flesh out like a table linen. Let my bones be silver that touches, making again that clack. My skull will be a glass set properly. I have class enough. What jolt is it to chew over class? His body set before him as a reader sips, perhaps, a glass of something heady. We give books spines, we break them. The table will have its legs, its head. The body is upon us. Does the table have a stomach? Is it simply there to bear our hunger without its own, like a eunuch bathing a stripper? What is the poet without eyes or ears, reading, listening? He is a platform, a place to set it with. And if this is all, what will he do when the reader finishes a glass, rises from the poet's head, and passes into the city? Covered with a linen, he is waiting for something to spill. Perhaps a girl in Mexico rolling her ankle in a streetcar. As we take that in, I'd love to just hear in the chat. I'm always such a fan of the chat on Mindful Poetry Moments, what some of your initial responses are to that poem. And just open that up for a moment. And if anyone wants to just read through it again on the screen, we'll leave it there for a minute. What are some initial feelings? Where do you feel this poem in you? Where is the jolt in your body? Feel it in your neck. Okay, Nina, thank you. Oh, yeah, Sarah, I see that. Simply there to bear our hunger without its own. Yeah. No, Wade, you're right. There is no time to breathe. It's motion, isn't it? It's motion. Thank you, Bryce, for putting that link in there. Anyone else with thoughts around it? I see Sarah was distracted by the dehumanization of the eunuch and the stripper, and says maybe that was her jolt. Okay, well, I'm going to ask Patrick to pull the poem down so I can see all your faces. And I see Rebecca says, let me spread out my flesh like a table linen. That imagery, yes, the aching want in the waiting table. Yeah, these are great, great. And I know we have writing before us, and I will have a prompt, of course. But if I can ask you here in this moment to consider Troy's meditation and the jolt to our physical self, where might you experience a jolt to your emotional self? Can you think of a time, perhaps a societal event or a personal event that has woken you up, that has turned you inward on the landscape of yourself, as I said earlier, or as our poet discusses, that literally jolts you, the clacking of your own work, the clacking of your work, the hunger you might feel? Is there a moment in your own lives that you could get to where you emotionally were jolted? Does everybody have a moment in mind? I'll tell you some, this election. Yeah. How about every time you hear about someone shot, mass shooting? How about every time that we think about a Breonna Taylor or a George Floyd? What about within your own lives of loss, a move, a shock that happened within your family? Those deep emotions, I feel, are when I'm called to spread my flesh out like a table linen, when I'm my most vulnerable, when I'm willing to not just blame others, but to turn inward and ask myself what I could be doing differently. An email that I opened, Troy. Yeah, okay. To hear yes and reading a no. Rejection. Yeah. There's emotional toll to our daily lives, and we don't need to physically be inside of a streetcar, jolted or tumbled. But I love the mirror that Kearney holds up to Frida Kahlo, herself a visionary revolutionary person who bucked all convention, who, I believe, sought to illuminate her work by declaring its value herself first before others could determine it. Revolutionary. Obviously, if you don't know, she had a very bad accident in a bus that had an accident with a streetcar. Her recovery is legendary because she produced incredible work despite her wide-ranging injuries. Sometimes our most vulnerable places are where we strike artistic gold. So I think I'm going to give a little extra time to our writing. And my prompt today, and I'll ask Patrick to put the poem back up for everyone. But our prompt today, I would like everyone to be mindful of the jolts that have thrust you against walls of your own or others' making. I want you to set yourself as or at a different table than where you comfortably sit. Spread your flesh out. Be vulnerable for the sake of your creativity. And in this poem that you'll write, please speak of yourself, speak from yourself, or as the reader, a painter. You could be the hunger, a stomach, or even the streetcar. But maybe set yourself different. If you typically write from your own perspective, maybe write yourself from some other perspective. And I want you to set yourself in a scenario that either darkens or deepens what you and others might see in the setting of you, the poet as setting. And please include an element of shock, jolt or lightning bolt, and include the sensory elements, something within you that you feel physically. Any questions before we start writing? So Frida and our poet, Douglas Kearney, have laid out their works, and I'm eager to read yours. So with that, please start writing, and we will come back to it, I believe, at 3:43. Is that right, Bryce? Or 44 or something like that? Okay.
43. Yeah. I'll set the timer too.
Okay, thank you, Patrick, and thank you all. We have about another 2 minutes. All right, everyone, if you can just write your last few words.
Think we will transition into some time to share. I'm going to stop sharing the poem. If you wish to share, just feel free to use the there's like a reaction emoji where you can raise your hand. And Holly, if you would like to pick who reads, that would be great.
Yeah, if anybody cares to share. Even Sarah, I see Sarah's hand up first, then Deb. So we'll start there. Thank you
Okay.
both. And then Wade. So let me just make a little list here so I don't lose track. Thank you, Sarah. Deb, Wade. Then I see Mervin and Gabriella. Okay. And then I'll try to keep track. Okay, Sarah, please go ahead and share.
The jolt that comes when your sister tells you she is pregnant. You're there, the two of you, warm sun rays tinging warm skin, lying, relaxed. Suddenly, sand is blinding, belly is roiling, body is moving. All is movement, and stillness is not possible. So much reorganizing of truths. The stories we've told ourselves about who we are, a massive string of siblings strewn across this globe, testing our multiple heritages, acquiring multiple languages, unfurling ourselves upon a map, tasting, curiousing, going. Instantly, I know we're suddenly all tethered to this right here, this block of sand in Redondo Beach. Our story is now of siblings circling around this one block, slowly moving slowly moving selves and homes back stateside, West Coast, Southwest. Permission to converge, to stay, to be together, enamored of little footsteps, pitter patter.
Wow. Wow, unfurling ourselves on a map, tethered, circling the block. I mean, this family connectivity is so relatable, I think, but also really special in your delivery. I really liked how the jolt was for something really good. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Deb, you're up, and then Wade.
Okay. My hair is singed. My flesh hangs loosely. Friends are being rounded up into rooms where we have to defend ourselves against a shape-shifting enemy who oozes unctuous, moldy mucus onto us. Outside, lightning is not enlightening, and my eyes are dimming. Am I still a human being?
Wow. Deb, lightning is not enlightening. And that sense of rounded up, that in itself is a jolt to hear, let alone feel. Wow, thank you for sharing that. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure in the chat here we've got people writing, yeah, I'm still a human being. Wade, please.
Right. It's that jolt that takes you back to that moment, that chalkboard moment. You want to talk about long division, that walk for those who don't understand rounding, even longer for those who don't need to be seen. It's a missed mark, a misplaced point or deeper, misplaced feelings and misunderstanding. You would never get the problem right. Your construction was unsound. And now the same who says there's no such thing as time travel, I can go right back to that jolt.
You know what Wait, I have like 4 different ways I can go in this poem. It offers so much to the reader at just the avenues I could go. The construction on sound, the long division, the missed mark and misplaced feelings. I mean, each one of those are their own jolt. Thank you for that. Thank you. Mervyn.
Yeah. Winters are long in Germany and North Japan. It is easy to understand why some never make it out of the funk. Feel their spring never comes into spring days. The scent of daffodils may come and go without any scent. Back to America at its darkest times. I fear coming to America in the light. Hate is welcomed in the light again. On television, I cannot hear the words of hate mumbled, the red caps soaring, the voice questioning my belonging at the airport. I feel safer walking the path of the Palatine Forest at winter solstice, where the nocturnal boars wander 2 houses away, than a stateside city street or a southern dirt country road. But I fight for the country's safety. You would think I am thought of in the 2% that walks in arms with me. So many wonder if they will breathe again past winter too. Thank you.
Mervyn. Poignant. Yeah, Sarah, what a poignant delivery. The tie of this daffodil, and then the jolt for me was the back to America in its darkest times where hate is welcomed. You know, it just, this juxtaposition is so powerful, and that was a jolt. And your entire poem was remarkable. Thank you so much. Questioning my belonging, my gosh. Okay, we have about 4 more minutes, and I have too many hands raised to offer you all time. So in my order, I had Gabriella, and then Michael had raised his hand. Michael Verga, was that right? You had your hand raised? Okay, let's start with Gabriella.
So the title of this is Target, and it's like I mean it as a self-defense instructor's like pad, a target pad. Okay. Target. Curl your fingers tight and punch me like you mean it. Like you want to move through me, smooth as a ghost, sharp as a broken piece of glass. like the shard that escaped the broom and hid in a corner waiting for its moment to sink into the blood of skin when least expected. Let me buffer the blow, be the wall between you and the instructor's steady arms. Practice your hate on me, perfect your aim. Imagine me the enemy. What color eyes do they have? Use your hips, hit again.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the physicality of that with buffering the blow and being the wall between, practice your hate on me. Oh my gosh, Gabriella, wow, just really powerful. And imagine me your enemy. Really powerful work. Thank you. They landed blows for sure. Really. Okay, I had Michael Verga, we have maybe, if they're not long, we can maybe do one more after Michael. Patrick will call me on it. Michael, are you ready? Michael
No, I
Verga?
didn't have my hand up. I was just waving hello.
Oh, just waving. Okay, great. Elena, you'd be up next. And thanks, Michael. Elena, you're up.
I think we have time for Rebecca as well.
Okay,
If
great.
easy.
Elena, then Rebecca. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you,
Hello,
Elena.
everyone. My voice is a little scratchy, but I'll make it through. Every jolt comes with a warning thunder. Mine starts in the throat. When I was small, I could hardly speak. The deer in me wanted to flee in a flash, like some winged god taking what was left of my heart. Somehow the jolt of abuse was cushioned by a chant, "This is not me. This is not me." In my old age, I can see it now, with every fall, a catch of some kind, first in the flesh, and now I go limp. I cannot tolerate unkindness, the sharpest jolt of all. I am most aware when I have nothing to offer except these eyes, a helping hand, and the beauty of rising love out of the ashes. Thank you.
The beauty of rising love out of the ashes. Elena, just that warning thunder, that jolt that carried through, even with that jolt of abuse, cushioned. The cushioning was its own jolt. Every catch, every fall, a catch. Wow. And unkindness is the sharpest jolt of all, Elena. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Rebecca, with all of us. I felt very personal in that moment. Rebecca, please.
The jolt that travels through zeros and ones, translations shifting between the ancient and modern, the realms of text spanning from fingertips to droplets of pen ink. The same words have left us with jolts from those rain droplets falling from an iris only to smear across a screen. Voices have chords, yet play nothing. When a jolt hits our strings, our Achilles drags the dust beneath us like a defeated veteran.
Our Achilles drags the dust beneath us like an, oh my goodness, Rebecca, wow. What a powerful ending. And through the jolt of through zeros and ones. I love this like bridge. I was in the screen, I was out of the screen, the rain droplets from the iris smearing the screen. And then it became so real with that Achilles. I mean, that just, wow. Thank you. What a cool juxtaposition. That's what I call a turn, as a strong turn. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And this specific prompt, it won't land well with everyone. And the poet won't land well with everyone. But that's poetry to me, that it asks more of ourselves. It asks us to dig in, and it hurts sometimes. And it's unpleasant sometimes, and then it's lovely and lilting other times. And we each need it in different measure on different days. So if this hit you hard today, just know I'm with you in my heart, and that I only intend to dig into our layers as poets. And I trust and love you all. I'm so grateful to have shared this day with you. And if we're going to read it again, which I believe Patrick's going to put it back up there.
Mhm.
Patrick, do you want me to read it again or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
If you could
Okay.
read it again, that'd be wonderful.
Sure.
I just as a final announcement, we're doing another Mindful Poetry virtual gathering next month on November 20th. Same time, same like third Wednesday or second to last Wednesday of the month. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you all for engaging with the poem. Yeah, if you could read us out, Holly. Oh, and I will send a follow-up email with the video. So like I said, if you don't want to be in the video, then please reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you all. Patrick will put the poem back up. Okay. The Poet as Setting. The jolt that comes to bones inside a tumbled streetcar is what the painter considers as she strokes herself into story. There is less to the jolt that comes as he shuts his eyes before the monitor, save what he imagines a lightning bolt, a god tapping the shoulder. He imagines the sky swelling with ceiling fans, or the guano of extinct birds, a jolt riding from his shoulder blades to his eyelids, dropping with roller coaster clacks to his fingers. Here, he dreams of Frida Kahlo. Here, he says, let me spread my flesh out like a table linen. Let my bones be silver that touches, making again that clack. My skull will be a glass set properly. I have class enough. What jolt is it to chew over class, his body set before him as a reader sips, perhaps, a glass of something heady? We give books spines. We break them. The table will have its legs, its head. The body is upon us. Does the table have a stomach? Is it simply there to bear our hunger without its own, like a eunuch bathing a stripper? What is the poet without ears or eyes, reading, listening? He is a platform, a place to set, that to set it with. And if this is all, what will he do when the reader finishes a glass, rises from the poet's head, and passes into the city? Covered with a linen, he is waiting for something to spill. Perhaps a girl in Mexico rolling her ankle in a streetcar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Troy, as well. And thanks everybody for joining
Thanks,
us.
Holly.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Light and love, everyone. Take care of yourselves this difficult season.
We'll see you in a month.